Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lighten Up-Zen Life. Today we will be, let me introduce Nancy first. Everybody, I'm here with my teacher and one of my good friends, Nancy. Everyone say hi to Nancy. Nancy, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Today we will be discussing how do we maintain our peace, happiness, and well-being in and throughout changes that we face. Nancy?
I changed my mind. No. Well, change is probably a really good subject for most people that are trying to get an idea what's coming up and keep their peace of mind. But change is inevitable. Everything changes. Everything's going to change. So a lot of times people want to keep everything status quo. And even when it doesn't work, they're still trying to keep things status quo. Or they'll think that in the future it's going to get better, but right now this is what I'm experiencing and it's not good, or it's not as well as I wouldn't want it to be. But there's a reason why people have a problem with change. One main reason is they're afraid that they're going to have to give up something. And it's a lot of fear comes in. What do I have to give up? And if change is going to make me lose things, what am I going to lose?
Right.
And those are all things that that people should pay attention to. But the fact that change is in their face and coming up is not something that's going to go away, because this world's going to go through a lot of change. It's going through a lot of changes now. A lot of changes happen because of weather. A lot of changes happen for businesses. A lot of changes happen because people change their mind. They get into a different zone, and so on. So change is something that is going to happen. And I say the first step is to understand change is going to happen. What am I afraid to lose? What am I thinking I'm going to lose? How am I attached to the situation? If I'm fearful, then what am I attached to? What am I afraid that I'm going to not have, or I'm going to make a mistake on, or I'm not going to be able to handle?
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I think, traces back to a belief system or a story that we tell ourselves, or a experience that we had that we have not come into resolution with.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it's hard. We've changed. The first 7 years of a person's life sort of gives the themes of what you're going to go through a lot of times, and for a lot of people. And so you make a lot of changes. I mean, first you have a toddler, and then you have a newborn, and then you have a toddler, and then you have a teenager, and then you have yourself in perhaps an adult state if you're old enough, and then we go through all kinds of different stages and jobs and ideas and learning and so on. So we're always in the midst of change.
Absolutely. And I think that, with so many changes coming up now, both globally and independently, I feel like it's important to discuss dealing with change in a positive way. And I feel like in my own experience with you, it's over and over again, for so many times, you had said to me, get out of your head and into your heart. And I always thought that I had reached that point. And then recently, when we were speaking, I entered into a new place of feeling, and it showed me how I was lingering in my head and not in my heart. And it was really life-changing for me to have that experience. And it shows me now, being in a deeper heart space, how easy it can be to relax when I wasn't experiencing that before. So I would say, like, if there were cliff notes or how-tos in regards to change, it's to surrender. Just breathe into whatever your experience is right now, and don't let the experience define how you feel or how you react, but step into that power as a co-creative being.
It takes a lot today, and I'm sure there have been other times where it's true as well, to have faith and trust.
Mm-hmm.
because so many things are based on our belief systems, and so many things are based on what we've experienced or what we were taught, or everything that someone told us we had to live up to or go against, depending on how we felt about it. And so it's very hard to know. I mean, if you have total faith in yourself, which is difficult, most people are still working on that. If you have total faith in a higher level, then your chances of getting through change and welcoming it and getting through the change is going to be much easier. And actually, you're going to want the change.
Right.
But if you're in the lower part where, you got those negative chatters, saying, oh, you're going to lose this and that person's doing that and you're going to be alone, you're going to have no money, you're going to, everything's going to be taken away. I mean, the news media, if nothing else, and all the things that are going through fear. If you're in separation, once again, it's the same thing. If you're in separation and you sit there and think, well, change is separation, not necessarily. Not if you're in alignment with it. Change is just something going to be taking a different path so that it can bring something better to you. Change is always important, and we don't realize that change is something that's important. It's something that has to happen in order for me to grow. It's something that has to happen for me to understand things. When things get boring, it's because you're going through the same. It's like a round robin. You just keep going through the same thing over and over again. It's momentum. Nothing is moving. It's all going in the same direction over and over again in a circle, and it's boring and so forth. So it takes something. Sometimes the universe will take us out, make the change happen when we don't. Or we could just follow its waves. The waves are going to be changed. They are changed. These different waves that are coming through, and we're going to be. If these waves come to us and hit us, or if they're involving us, then we have to make some choices and decisions. Just like you said, we have to decide how we're going to handle it. And it would change, like people can say, well, with the tornadoes and all the, the weather patterns and all these things, and people losing their homes and losing people and family and so on, that's a change, and that wasn't fun.
No.
But you still have to figure out how you're going to handle it. There's
Absolutely.
different ways. You've got choices. You've got choices to make how you're going to handle it. You can't necessarily change everything that took place. You can't necessarily stop the change from taking place, but at the same time, how I handle it is going to be very, very crucial.
Absolutely.
Because if you go to the lower level, you're just going to do a round robin over and over and over again, all kinds of stuff coming at you. If you go to the higher level, the high fourth and fifth and the higher levels, it will lead you through the change and show you that it's perfect. It's going to perfectly take care of you. It's going to be perfectly giving you the understanding that you need and so on. And the only choice you have is how you're going to handle it.
That's right. And that I want to say self-control, but self-awareness, awareness of our true self. And also law of attraction is a factor. Alignment, based on our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs are going to dictate what we rendezvous with when we do.
Yeah, and it's not like you can say that all change is fun, because for a lot of people, change is not fun. They dread it. They are afraid of it. They don't want change. But change is inevitable, and all change is going to lead them someplace. If they're in a higher mindset, it's going to lead them someplace that they're going to be glad. They're going to see the sanity of the change. They're going to see that it was necessary, the necessity of the change.
Absolutely.
And they're going to see how the way they handled it will teach them how, if change ever happens again on whatever level or the same or whatever way it is, it will teach them how whatever they didn't do then to make it easier for themselves, they'll have hopefully learn how to make it easy for themselves now, because we are creators of our own reality.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I can't control the change and the waves of change. They're waves. They're like vibrations.
That's right.
I can't control everybody what what mine and everyone else's change, and what are we going to step into. But we will step into the change and the vibration that we need to be in to learn and to become more of who we really are.
I absolutely agree with you. There's a couple things that are here, Nance. Denise says, hi, Teresa and Nancy. April says, hi, Teresa and Nancy. Denise says, change is definitely is uncomfortable, but inevitable, just like you said. In all capital letters, Denise says, I love you guys. And I told her that we love her too.
And that's not going to change. It'll change, only getting more and more and more.
Denise asks you, Nancy, how do we deal with what's coming? I believe I know, but would like to hear from you both.
Well, the first thing I would suggest, and this is a suggestion, is not to be too sure you know. What I'd like to see you know is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And because we are our mind, and what we manifest, what we think we're going to get. So just because a lot of things are going to happen, maybe a lot of people, a lot of philosophy, a lot of people talking about the future and so on. The only place that's real that you're going to know anything is in the now. Where are you now? What are your lessons right now? What are you facing right now? What are you trying to understand and accomplish? What are you trying to manifest? Who are you trying to become so that it matches whatever the vibration is? Becoming self-aware and becoming comfortable. Just because things are going to happen one place doesn't mean they have to happen to me.
Right.
But if I think they are, I will get them. I will get a certain amount of it.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to interject that I have a mantra called now is next. That every time I stand in the now moment, there's this less than a millisecond that I'm standing in that is where the past has already come to be and where the future is becoming. So every time I stand in the now moment, then I'm the creator. And like,
if we are, that's right. And and I just interrupted you too. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
But anyway, before I forget it, you know how I am. Mm-hmm. Again, I keep saying the same thing, and I'll keep saying it as long as I have to. If you are in separation, and whatever the change is going to separate you, like say divorce, or say a relationship, or say a child going to live with their other parent, or it can be any kind of change, okay? You have to be very honest with yourself. You have to understand that, what are you afraid of losing? Is there a solution that can make this compatible? Is there a solution that's in the high dimension that I have no idea, that's in the now, but it has, it's unlimited, and it has absolutely, I don't know how to do it. I don't even know what it is. Is there any way or a solution that can solve any problem I have with any change that's going on? And there always is. People get so entrapped with the problem and what they feel in fear, what they're being fed in fear by the, media people. There's so much fear right now because there's so much separation. People are separating for all kinds of reasons. Yeah. And because of this, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but the separation, as long as I see it as separation, the next step automatically, you cannot get away from this. And this is what people don't understand. I don't think a lot of times you're in separation, you're automatically going to go to fear. Automatically. It's like a escalator. You're there, you're standing on the bottom step, and you're moving right into the fear zone. And when you go into fear, then you're going to be in the ego. You're going to have to be in self-doubt. You're going to go into questioning. You're going to go into a lot of things. I'm not saying it cannot have its purpose. Maybe it'll make me more aware of what I don't want, and then make me more aware that I do want. But separation, automatic. So if it's news or different people philosophizing, if it's not in the now, right now, how do we prepare for it? Let go of things that frighten you. Let go of things that you think are not you. Let go. And how do you do that? You go to the higher levels and you ask for help. Or you learn to do it by understanding you don't want it anyway.
Right.
Or, you do it through affirmations, you do it through programming, IMs. We've been teaching, there's so many tools, that are out on YouTube and all over the place. And we've been doing it too, is how to handle these things. And how do I handle, you're not going to change necessarily people's opinion. Some of these philosophies, some of the prophecies and philosophies went back to over 4,000 years ago. That's not now.
Definitely
just because
not now.
someone said it was going to happen then doesn't mean it absolutely is going to happen. It could be people are waiting for the signs. Well, because they're waiting for their signs and they're concentrating on the signs, they're seeing them.
Absolutely. There was two things.
I have to understand the universal law in order to get past this stuff. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I think that's where the root was. I think that's the fun part about being so loving and passionate and excited about having this topic, is like it's always right there. To answer the question too, Joe Dispenza has these two things that have really stuck out to me lately. One of them is, he calls it the quantum surprise, where he said, if we experience something or we look to the future with the idea of experiencing the same thing, then we're Newtonian. We're stuck in the idea or the ego of something that we've already had. But a quantum surprise is putting out what you want and not knowing how it's going to come, but being excited about that it's going to come. Like the quantum field is going to go to work for you if you let it. And then you could rendezvous with what that law of attraction is. And his other point too, it's in alignment with it, but a little offshoot with his manifestation. He said, the person you sit down as when you begin to visualize what your wanted thing is should not be the same person who gets back up. It should feel so lifelike for you. And can we give our imagination or creativity to, or our trust into, experiencing something new without having control of the how? That would be my question.
Well, most of the time people don't have control.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you start saying, and this is nothing against what we just, what she just thought, I think I know. She probably has a better idea and knows a lot more than what she had known prior.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a matter, but everything is changing. And so what I knew back in, oh my gosh, years ago when I was doing this and that, when I was already seeing a lot of this stuff happen, it's still not now. I had a gist of it, but it didn't happen back in the 70s. It happened it's happening right at this time period. So, at the time I was sitting there preparing for that, and what, the timing was off. Right. So I don't know. I guess one way to do this is to meditate, go into the higher levels and ask, what should I know now? What do I need to know now? What do I need to know now? How should I think of, this situation? All right, I just heard this prophecy and it's being really, it could happen because, you remember everything keeps going around in circles, right?
That's right.
Everything in the third dimension goes around in circles, and everything that's in spirit goes in spirals.
Right.
So when it used to be easy to do readings because you just saw where the person was in the circle and you could sit there and predict, say, well, this is what's going to happen next. But what I'm making the point to with that idea is that we are now full blown into the Aquarian age, which is the age of light.
Yes.
We were in an age of dark and suffering. Now we've moved, and people don't understand. I don't think a lot of people understand how important the change. You talk about a change being important. The change of ages are extremely important because the rules change.
That's right.
And I spent a long time studying the rules of the Aquarian age because I wanted to know if you want to know what's coming in the future. I'm sitting there going, okay, I want to understand what the universal law is and how it's used in this, because the universal law doesn't change. There are some things that just don't change, and that's one of them. So the law, treat others as you want to be treated, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, the important thing was for me was to understand how it was going to be applied. If I know universal law and I apply how I treat for others, or and why do I need to do that? In the Aquarian age, it's light. It's the only way that's going to make you feel good about yourself.
Right. It's going to work.
It's the only way that you're going to attract what you want. And it's not going to be the suffering anymore unless people believe in it. And that's what a lot of these places are trying to do, is to get people to continue to believe in it, because they need to eat your energy from stress. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Denise has some comment. I have just something I want to run past you. I'm glad that you mentioned the readings changing, because there's been new stuff that I've been seeing in readings happen for the past couple weeks that I've been doing for people. And they're like, it's almost inconceivable to them that it could happen. And this week I've started to get calls back from people that I read for who were like, oh my God, you called it. I can't believe that happened. I never expected it. And I am seeing a trend of the unexpected is now coming to pass, and it's so cool. So when you mentioned that light bulb went off.
Yes, and Denise, the point is, if you thought you knew it all, and you didn't, but if you had been doing a reading and you thought you already knew it all, and it's going to be something in that round circle part, in the past, you wouldn't have been able to see the new age of this.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that your mind was open, the fact that you were reporting what you were seeing, the fact is that whether they thought it was going to happen, people want to keep things the same because they're familiar with it. They would rather have something bad happen than change it, because at least it's something they're familiar with and they think they can control it, and they can't.
Yes. I think realizing that we're not in control of so much at any given time, I think helps us deal with change.
Well, we are actually in control, but it's got to be through our thinking. We are in control. We're creators. That's, if anyone teaches that, is Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
And, it's the same thing. I mean, we are in control, but you've got to take control. And if you don't know what the solution is, if it happens, because we're still coming out of the shadow of things, if you don't know, then ask the higher levels to show you, or to teach it to you, or to help you. But you've got to come to them with the solution, wanting the solution, not the problem. You cannot come to them with the problem. They will not listen to you.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm glad that you...
Thank God they don't.
I know, because it really fosters you to get into alignment, because the higher realms don't kneel to the ego in us.
And aren't we glad they don't? Otherwise, they would have taken their huge amount of knowledge and power and all that and put it and empowered the dark.
Absolutely.
They can't do that, and neither can we.
I agree.
We can do it, but we shouldn't be doing it. We should not be enhancing the disease stronger than the cure.
Absolutely.
Just because the disease has run in rampant and took out a lot of people and did a lot of stuff doesn't mean that in this age that it has to be that way.
Yes. And I appreciate you saying earlier, like, we are in charge of so much, or we can control so much, but we are co-creators is what I meant to say, meaning that there's what we're in control of how we're responding. We're in control of what we're creating. We may not be able to sometimes, and I'm trying to say this in the clearest way possible, I could speak for myself in saying that past me used to take on too much responsibility for things, people, places that I had no business being responsible for. And now, as I stand back into my power, I realize that I was never really supposed to be responsible for those things. If I want to help, the best thing for me to do is to go to the high realms and say, if I'm supposed to intervene, show me how. But I'm not here to be everyone's teacher, and everyone's definitely not a savior, definitely not to come to the rescue or be self-sacrificing. And those are things that I learned through my life experience not to be. So, yes.
And the Pisces age was that age of being, thinking that we were responsible for everything. So in the Pisces age, that's what we did. It was a whole different ball game in the Pisces age than it is in this in this age. And that's what I keep saying. It's like, you talk about being glad and age, you're talk about being glad or happy that change is coming. I'm very happy change is coming. And yes, is it scary? Sometimes is it looking like the whole world's going to be devoured and we're going to have atom bombs coming towards us, and we already did that once. And so but if you have the focus on, I am fine, I am good, I am abundant, I am looking for the solutions. I look for the people, and I'm asking that light come to them, or understanding come to them for their highest good.
Mm-hmm.
I ask that they can be happy. If they're, if they've done something mean or nasty to me, hey, I know you didn't mean it. In there somewhere, you didn't mean it. I know you didn't really mean it, because you couldn't, because your love, your peace, your harmony. And you just didn't do it my way. You didn't do it when I wanted you to do it. You didn't do this and that. And that's what's got to change.
Yeah, I understand.
Have the expectation that everyone is going to do, and I'm just going through this week with people, having expectation that everyone's going to behave. Oh, I can't believe they did that. And the way, there was part of me that went, I can't believe they didn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a more of a joking way, not totally joking, it's not funny, but to the person who's going through it. But we have to see some humor back into our lives. We've got to see having fun back in our lives. People say, well, I didn't do anything today. I didn't get anything done. So I'm sitting there going, what did you do? And they said, well, I went and read a book, and I did this and that. And I said, did you have fun with it? And they said, yeah, I really liked it. I said, then you did something today.
Yes.
Because that's the only thing we're here to do. Not just to read books, but to be happy.
Definitely to be happy, and that is something we can control the focus of. Denise
it's inside of us, so yeah.
Denise says, instead of asking what I'm going to lose, I'll ask myself, what am I going to gain? I think we jumped a new timeline. I felt something the other day, and it was powerful.
I think she's absolutely right. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a right or wrong. I believe what she's saying is true. I mean, you have a choice how you're going to, ask for the solutions, or align with the solutions, and remember too, that the fifth dimension and higher, they are unlimited in parallel universes of us that they can choose from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a lateral situation. It is strictly, I mean, it's unlimited, because there's multiple universes of me that could have any one of those solutions if I quantum jumped into them.
Yes.
Or maybe they jumped into me.
Can you explain that as a difference? Jumping into them versus them jumping into you?
No, it just depends on if I really, I've had multiple universes jump into me where I changed my mind. I mean, I have to have Nancy on this, Nancy here, Nancy whoever, has to have a will to I have to want to know, or want to stop something, or there's a reason for it, or it could be just an aha moment. I get those all the time. I'm lucky enough to get those often, where I just got one yesterday. Now, I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to think of this, okay, and this is. I went, whoa, that is really interesting. And what it was, Teresa, is the word rebirth. Now, rebirth is important in what we're talking about, so I'm going to go ahead and mention this. What was said before, if something is born, it has to end. Anything born will end. The birth to the end. Okay, anything that is born will end. So I heard that, and I went, oh, that's really interesting. So what happens? No wonder I want to be ageless, so I'm not born to end, or whatever. I'm sitting there just going through this. Then I thought of the word rebirth, because that's what we're in. That's exactly what we're in, is rebirth. And then I thought, rebirth is the reason it's a rebirth because it's not you're not born. So you don't have to end. You become eternal.
Yes, I see that.
That's why, because it's a rebirth is a spiritual experience, a spirit God, it's a God thing. So being reborn means that you're no longer of the birthing, ending cycle. And you're in an eternal cycle where it never ends. There is no end. It's unlimited. So, I mean, I didn't sit down and say, well, I'm going to think of all this yesterday. I was just fortunate enough to have that understanding, and I participated with it thinking, okay, if that's this, I wonder why, that means you're going to become ageless. How do you become ageless? You're reborn. If you're reborn, oh, that's what rebirth means. You can start playing with it, and start understanding it.
I like that. And one thing that came to mind as you were talking about that, so we had pinpointed earlier how when people go through changes, sometimes their fear or their focus might be on that I had something I really liked, and I liked the way that it was, and I'm worried that what I'm walking into won't be as good, or that I won't know as much or be able.
If you didn't think that way, you wouldn't have a worry.
Absolutely. So here's my. Sorry.
If you only, we could cut to the chase in it. You don't have to keep going through the problem with this, Teresa, because you don't want to. You don't want to keep rebuilding the problem, right?
Right.
Okay, so you want to, as soon as you recognize that, you want to change it, you want to rewrite it, you want to get it into the revision. The other I am, the higher I am. You don't want to keep going around why it's this. You don't have to do that. What you want to do is to go straight to the revision. As soon as you start catching the drift that, you need to rewrite this, then don't spend any more time on the other side, because if you do, you're going to get caught up empowering it.
I agree with that. My question to you, which you pretty much just answered, was if there was guidance to offer, or tools to offer people coping with the feelings that come along with change. So if someone if they're going through a divorce, they're not going to be able to live with their family anymore. That may be a change they don't want. So getting into a place where they're finding healing, comfort, peace, acceptance, love, despite a circumstance they don't want, how would people best do that?
First of all, if it involves others, okay, like say a divorce obviously does, children, and so on. Mm-hmm. We don't own anybody. When you get married, you don't own somebody. There is no guarantee. And, people say until death do us part. Well, death also means ending. When something ends, that's a death. We do that in the cards, right?
Yes.
You see the death card, it's an ending of something.
Yes.
So, I don't own anybody. I can't guarantee anybody being around. And I personally can't, because I've had so many different things. People leaving, dying and leaving the earth. But it, there's no guarantee. The only guarantee is I'm here. What do I want to do? We got to figure out, well, when you divorce, you're arguing and fighting. There are people that have actually peaceful divorces.
Absolutely.
And it's good for the kids, so they don't have to choose which parent do they have to be loyal to. And the parents agree to raise them, and they take responsibility for their actions. They take responsibility for their thing. They're not greedy and so on. Well, that is what this world is going through. The world is just another relationship. Yes. And it shouldn't be a relationship. It really shouldn't be a relationship. It's not. We weren't brought here to be the world. We were to make the world into something. The world was given to us to mirror who we are. I'm not responsible making, people say all the time, bring world peace. I want world peace. Make yourself peaceful, and the world in your world will become peaceful.
That's right.
The world is a mirror. The country is a mirror. We're not here to make the country an entity. It is not an entity. It's an environment, and it shows what's going on with the people that live in it, in the mass consciousness, or individuals that are, it could be individuals or mass, but it's mirroring something to each person, and that something is in them.
Yeah. You said it to me the other day, and I thought it was fantastic. Aside from not being responsible for others, we were talking, you just said something that it teed me off with. It was like, oh yeah, that if we create our own world, if we become peaceful, then our world becomes peaceful. And then sometimes people will interject and base their ideas off of the external, but it's all on the internal. So the internal narrative that we have within ourselves is what allows us to maintain that peace. And maintaining peace for ourselves, making peace our focus, it is a practice. But once you begin to practice it, you realize, like, we're so, I want to say, hands off from what other people choose. And then we get very focused into, what am I choosing? And how is what I'm choosing working for me or not working for me? And I think that causes us to reach for the higher realms in a much more clear and focused way.
Well, I agree that it's the idea is to find out what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, what you don't want will show you what you do want, or find out what you do want and don't bother with what you don't want.
Absolutely, I agree.
Don't take it so seriously. Don't make it a fact. You have a choice. Every person who has any kind of disease has a choice to make. And a lot of the answers that are given to people, like chemo and a lot of things, I'm not saying what people should or shouldn't do. And it's a lot of that has to do with the way that it's handled. With Evie, she went through all of that and came out getting rid of 145 tumors. So, it depends on your intent in the way you do it. But to believe in the disease and make it, I have to think about it all the time. Anything you think about, you're going to get.
Right.
Including the good. If I think I am thinking only of positive, I am thinking of only the greatest thing. Man, today is going to be a good day. If I am, and I mean it, let's say I'm not just, something's mirroring it in me. So if the mirror is going to reflect out, right? You've got a mirror on the outside. And some days you can walk through a grocery store and everybody says hi to you.
Yes, I love when that happens.
Everybody goes, whoa, that's really, I like your this or that or whatever. Or hi, or can I help you? Or this or that. And that means you're mirroring that light inside you.
Yes.
And the outside is a mirror. Then there's other days that everybody wants to run the other way or go away, or they're not, it's almost like you're isolated and nobody's really there, and nobody's giving, nobody's cooperating. Or it could be they're cooperating, but they're just not in a good mood. And so you take it on, and now what is your mirror showing outside? Do you know that when that happens, where people outside are going through a rough time and their mirrors are foggy and not bright and shiny, that yours can still stay bright and shiny? And if it starts to fall for their image, go back and make your own. Or recognize whatever is in their image is something to do with you, because otherwise you wouldn't even notice it.
You wouldn't attract it, and it wouldn't catch you.
You wouldn't even have attracted it. So it's not bad to notice someone else's bad intent that day, or negative, or not comfortable intent that day. It's not bad, but what's inside of you attracted it? What's inside of you do you need to clean up?
Yes, absolutely that. What I realized, what I was catching before, and I kind of lost it in translation, where you said, I'll take it from a conversation that we had, where you said, if you don't worry about what's going on outside of you, and you only focus on you being happy and you being in a positive way and in an aligned way, don't you think that will impact the world in a positive way? And it was a light bulb, and it was so simple, but it was so clear. Sometimes I feel like I've done it definitely in the past, and I know other people who have too. We feel like we need to be something, or we need to partake, or the world outside of us says we need to be, we need to partake. And we don't realize the impact that we can have on the world simply by being good with ourselves.
We will mirror out, the outside will get the mirror of what I am inside.
Yes.
If you have a closet and it's, let's say, clothes are thrown around or they're not hung up, or let's say it's messy or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that other than it's mirroring something inside you that you need to take care of and have a cleanup.
Yes.
Of sorts. If something happens, I think here's another one: car, truck, and bus. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The car represents the person, usually. If there's some kind of thing that happens in a car, it has involved with the person, whoever is involved in it. The truck has to do with work. It's a work vehicle for most, right? Not for everybody now, but for a lot of people. So it has to do with something that's going to happen at work, or something that's going on with work, or you need to work something out, or something to do with work. And then the bus is social, right? I mean, it takes you places, takes you out and to public places. So you can sort of, I mean, the symbols are really interesting. I made a real strong effort a long time ago to understand symbols.
Yes.
And I'm pretty good at it, I think. Not best, but I think it works for me. I like the idea of I can look at something and see the symbol in it, because a lot of times it's tricky. It's symbolic in some way. So if you can at least get a sort of a ballpark idea, well, that's how we read. That's how we do readings. If if you can get a ballpark idea of what the symbol is, then you can get the message. One time I took Revelations, the book of Revelations, and I decided that I was going to I printed it out, and I was going to find every symbol in that writing of the resurrection. And people are paying a lot of attention to that writing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, this was way back when, a long time ago. I don't remember when, but a long time ago. And so I decided that I was going to take and cross out certain words and replace the symbols, what the meaning of the symbol was.
Right.
You get a whole different reading.
What did you learn from that? I mean, aside from that,
it was going to be a psychological war.
Oh, wow.
That it was going to be psychological. It was going to be about the mind. Now, guess what it is? This was way back ago. I mean, this was a long time ago. I think my kids were really young, But I found it really, I mean, from my ability to use symbols, I'm not talking everyone would have the same, but it turned out to be pretty true. I mean, we're dealing with a psychological war. Yep. And we're fighting for our heart, because we've got AIs that can almost do everything the human can do, can look and feel and say human things, can act human, but don't have hearts. So, really interesting. I don't even know if I still have it, but I should get it out and just see how it read. But I remember at the time I'm sitting there going, this isn't physical. This is not going to be all physical. This is going to be emotional and mental.
I'd be interested to see what you wrote and what you got out of it. Absolutely.
Why don't you do it? Take and print it out and see what symbols you get.
The book of Revelations, and then just cross out.
Well, you can do it with anything, Teresa. Go through. I mean, when things are written way, your person who, when she asked about the past, way back, and things that are going on, like in media and different things. Go back and see what the symbols are, and see if it tells it gives more information. Like in dreams, that's what we do in dream readings. I mean, a lot of times they're symbols, they're symbolic. And once you don't understand it until you see the symbol, and once you see the symbol and the meaning of the symbol, then it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree very much so with that. Val has a couple of things for you, Nance. She says, Nance, I have a habit of worrying about everything. Listening to these wonderful shows, I'm finding myself changing that purposefully, and it does feel better. And then she says, old habits, you know how it goes.
Well, if you went back to old habits, you'd have to go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
And then Denise says, yes, I had this conversation.
No, wait a minute. Let me go on with that. You know, her habits are not old. Actually, they've been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But what they are, what's really neat for her, Val, is that you're finding out you're not going to do that anymore, that you don't want them anymore.
Yes.
And worry is one of those. You know, it never does anything good. All it does is repeat what's wrong, and worry about what's wrong. And then other people, you're worrying for others and think you're doing them a favor, and all you're doing is causing them to have more of it. You know, so I think it's because she's coming back to her God self, and she's already starting to recognize all this.
Absolutely. One thing that I like to do anytime I feel or felt worried about anything is replace worry with creativity. If the idea is that if I'm worried about someone, I'm worried if they're going to be okay. And instead of feeling like I'm wondering if you're going to be okay and what can I do about it, I ask myself, well, what could I positively contribute to this person rather than worry? And the more you trust in source, then the more you trust that this person will be taken care of. The same.
See, we should know. I'm gonna stop you just for a minute. Do you mind?
Yeah. No,
is it okay?
Yeah.
We should already know they're taken care of. We shouldn't have to sit there and think, what am I going to do? It's a nice gesture. If somebody did something, that you ask for something nice to happen for them. Mm-hmm. That's for your sake, not theirs.
Yeah.
Because that's for you not to judge, not theirs. But we should all automatically know everyone's got a high self, everyone's got spirit breathing in them, and that it is already, they're already going, instead of worrying about, like you said, what you're trying to say is work on the solution rather than the problem. But we shouldn't even have to doubt that everyone's going to be taken care of.
Okay, can we clarify this? What if, say, someone got sick, they got a cold, and we prayed for them? Obviously, we know they're going to be okay, but people...
Did they ask you to?
Yeah, let's say that they did.
Okay, they asked you to pray for them. And remember, what do I always say about healing?
It's automatic and the body wants to do it?
Yeah, well, that's true. The body likes healing. It wants to do it. But what else do I say? It's an offering.
Yes.
So it's not a guarantee. What you're doing is offering a vibration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're offering energy vibration, and when their energy vibration is not unbalanced, and it's at a higher level, it'll do the healing.
Right, it'll match up.
But I think I think it takes a lot right now to see everything that's going on, to think that everyone's got God inside of them. Everyone can change their mind. Everyone can do better. And, because I hear, one of the things I do hear a lot, and of course, I work with only masters, right? I don't mean to, but I mean, that's the way it's been. It could change anytime. But even with the masters, that person will never change.
Yeah, you don't like them.
I hear that. I'm sitting there going, you better hope that's not true.
Yeah.
Or they're worried about someone, and they don't change. They're not doing they're not being masterful. They're not being higher energy and so on. Who is any of us to say about someone else? Do we know what they signed up for? Do we have any idea? I mean, I know if I'm shown, and all I'm doing is knowing that it's my interpretation of being shown.
Nancy, what would be your advice to someone who consistently worries about how to stop being a worrier?
Have faith and trust. Work on faith. Work on trust. Work on, the world is, the body wants to heal. People basically have inside them the heart. People basically want peace. People basically want love, peace, and harmony and well-being. It's already inside them. It's who they are. What they're doing is they're not aware of it, and they're acting out on the third dimension and the outside, in the box, trying to make the negative part of the dimensions here work, and they can't in the light age. They could in the Pisces age, but they can't make it work in this age. You either become light or you don't.
Yes, the
You
light
either
work is bringing
become
the
love or
light.
you don't. You either have faith and trust or you don't. And when you don't, you're not going to feel very good.
True.
And when you don't, you're going to push it to, you're going to push and you're going to do something that's going to reveal to you, this is not who I am and this is not what I want.
Correct. And you said, like, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago. I said, Nancy, if we are having difficulty having trust, how do we completely surrender to have trust? And then you said, solution, go to the high realms and ask to develop that trust.
And just keep repeating it. Do the opposite. Think about the opposite. You already know that the distrust doesn't work for you. You already know that it doesn't feel good. You already know that it doesn't bring in, it's an unlit candle trying to light a candle that can't be lit.
Yeah.
So you can't have negativity solving negativity. Everybody keeps trying to make it happen, because in the Pisces age, we had a little bit more leeway because it was an evil age. It was a dark age.
Right.
So in this age of light, it's just the opposite. So whatever was really easy for dark to do, now light has the upper hand and dark has to bend to it.
Right. So there's so many things that we have to relearn.
If I, what do I have to do? Asking is one thing, certainly, but practicing, I am so thankful I'm getting stronger and stronger by thinking positive. I'm so glad that my candle is lighting. One of the things I've been doing, I have an altar, a Buddha altar that's a living Buddha altar. But when I've been lighting the candle, I light little candles, you've seen me do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I light the candle, I'm sitting there seeing, the fire, but I'm seeing the energy around, around the aura of the fire. I'm sitting there going, that's the spirit of the fire.
Yes.
Look what it's doing. It's lighting my altar and it's lighting my incense. And I'm sitting there watching it and it moves. I know this sounds silly or stupid, but it's not for me, because I'm sitting there giving credit and gratitude, watching that. That's why you don't blow out candles on a birthday cake. You light the birthday cake to celebrate. All these little fire entities come in, they light it, they make everybody happy, and then you blow them away. You should clap them away and say thank you.
Aww. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, silly things like that. They're not silly, but they're opportunity, to pay attention.
Val says, this little light of mine, I sing this song when I start to feel the worry train coming in, and for me it helps. And Denise says, wow, I really needed to hear this. Thank you. Yes,
and humming will automatically, singing, humming. If humming will do it.
Mm-hmm.
Hum a song every morning. Lately, I've been doing Stoya. My cat has been. This energy has really been working with her, so on her. So every morning I sing. I was trying to think. I don't sing well, I'm not a singer, but I was trying to think of a song that was happy. It always seemed happy in a song. The only song I could really think of that I knew that I could sing, even carry the tune for, was Happy Birthday. So every morning I sing Happy Birthday to her, and her ears turn around and she likes it.
Oh.
It didn't have to be Happy Birthday. You guys probably sing a lot better than I do. But, it's the intent that counts. It's the intent when I light the candle. A lot of people just light a candle and they don't even think about the fire, the spirit that just lit up for it.
Denise says, Nancy, even narcissists can change?
Yes. They have, yes. No one is beyond change. The narcissist has a harder time because they have I would just, around a narcissist, if you're going to have to be around people that are, then what I would do is ask for the real side. Just keep asking, thank you for the real side coming in. Thank you for the real side coming in. Thank you for the real being coming in.
The real self.
Yeah, because the narcissism is it's a hard,
when narcissist behaviors, it's not their real self. Do can we break that open a little bit? Like, why do narcissists choose to come in that way? Or is it them who choose? Like how did that come about? But, how did...
It's the darkest of dark. It's the false God.
So was that changed?
I'm telling people the people who are showing and being narcissists, but what they're doing is just like when I'm angry. I'm not anger. I'm not the the negative anger spirit. But it's, it's gotten a hold of me and I'm being angry, or whatever. We're talking about narcissism not necessarily being a person, but the behavior is not light.
Mm-hmm. Well, so is there a awareness, like why, like we never know what someone else comes in to have as a soul journey. Is that something that we program in spirit before coming in, that we're going to have this lesson?
Yes,
or is that like it's inflicted on us?
It's all programmed. It's all put together in a nice little package of things. And we have choices to learn, but what we need to go through and learn is a lot of people call it karma. I don't think karma has the same position that it used to, because we're out of the past.
Yeah.
When we were in the dark, we were still in the past, and now we're in the now. So,
Denise says, I rewatch and listen to these podcasts while I sleep, and I feel like it helps me.
Oh, good.
That's nice.
Yeah, good. That's great. Because part of us is sleeping, but there's another big part of us that's traveling. There's another part of us that's, hearing things, and, we get busy. We think we're sleeping, but we get busy.
Val says, me too, Denise, especially if there is an exercise to do. I love those. I feel like the bowl technique is so helpful. I use that for everything.
I like that
now.
Bowl technique.
And I use it too, like in real time. Something comes up, a person says something to me, or a situation unfolds. I pause myself in what I'm doing. Say I was making dinner and I spilled something like that might.
You know what?
What?
Close your eyes, everybody.
Okay.
Close your eyes just for a minute. Why talk about it when we can do it?
Mm-hmm.
Just take a slow, deep breath. Anyone that's listening, or anyone that's going to listen in the future. I'm going to count backwards from 7. I'm going to choose the number 7, from 7 down to 1. With each breath, just listen to your breath and think that you're breathing through your lungs, through your heart chakra. So the breath is coming from the heart on the first 7. 7. 6, and if you're driving your car, don't. Do that to your 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I want you to go into your heart chakra, right behind your physical heart, and you're going to meet with your angel, either your high self, the high self and an angel, or the angel of wisdom. 5, going deeper and deeper in that heart chakra, going deeper and deeper and deeper. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, in your mind's eye, think of something that's changing, or that it's going to change, or it's in the midst of change, or think of a change issue of some sort in your heart chakra. Now, in that heart chakra, as you continue breathing and listen to the sound, ask for the purpose of that change. Ask why the change, the purpose for you to notice the change, and what is the purpose of the change. And when you know the change purpose, and you know your purpose of being involved in the change, you will come right out of this trance, this time
period. That was fun.
Yeah, maybe attach what's the purpose to the questions of the change. Why am I going through this? What's the purpose for me?
Yeah,
what's the high purpose for me going through this situation?
Right. What am I learning?
What am I supposed to learn? What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
The sooner you catch the nature of why you're, the truth of what you're doing, the purpose, then the sooner it all disappears. You don't have to keep doing it.
Yes.
That's what made me a good student. I got tired of doing stuff, so I figured if I got it right, if I went and did it right the first, after I find the answer, do it right the first time, I won't have to repeat it.
Yes. I've done that with you so many times, and it's been so effective. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to keep going over and over stuff, then you remember that circle that keeps going around. You want to go through the spiral.
Yes. You have to break the cycle to be able to get into that spiral.
Yeah.
This is a great place to say thank you to you for teaching us and sharing with us what you know and experience. Thank you to everyone who's watched along with us. And I look forward to seeing you next time, or we look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Lighten, Up-Zen Life. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful day.